It's been a dream of directors to be able to take a piece of action and insert it directly into a background.
So, Willis O'Brien invented a lot of techniques of how to take his stop-motion creatures and meld them with live-action actors and performers.
The notion of being able to put an entire film together based entirely on these techniques, that was something completely new.
There's a variety of different techniques that are present in the movie, and some of them are incredibly groundbreaking. Because they didn't want to lose quality and there wasn't the duplication techniques that there are today, they had to do a lot of it in camera.
The simplest in-camera effects were achieved by exposing part of the frame, then running the same piece of film through the camera again to expose the other part with a different image.
And then you processed it and hoped like hell that there wasn't anything wrong with it, that it was going to be a shot.
For more complex shots that combined live action with animation, O'Brien used either the Williams process or the Dunning process to produce what are called traveling mats.
It was a way of shooting an actor against a neutral background of some kind, some particular color, and then essentially cutting that background out and dropping them into some other background.
The Dunning process employed a system of blue and yellow lighting filtered and photographed onto black and white film. By loading 2 strips of film into the camera at the same time, a procedure called bypacking, the final composite image was created right in the camera.
And it's used in King Kong in a number of shots, one of which is the airplane crashing down the side of the Empire State Building, and the natives crossing in the foreground when Kong is fighting the warriors on the scaffold.
The Williams process was similar to Dunning, but because it didn't require specially colored lights, it could be used for wider shots.
Kong shaking the men off the log is a Williams process, and pushing the gates open in the native village, and the elements are combined in the optical printer rather than being combined in camera.
The optical printer was a brand new device at the time King Kong was being made. It synchronized a projector with a camera so that several strips of film could be combined into a single composite image. Linwood Dunn, the key man in RKO's photographic effects department, had built one for the studio and was looking for ways to prove what it could do.
Lynn Dunn heard about King Kong, came over, met with Willis O'Brien, said, you know, you don't have to keep bypacking the stuff in the camera. We have a thing called an optical printer, and we can print these things for you.
That was something that Linwood Dunn basically had to sell O'Brien on, that he didn't have to do these composites in camera.
When you're doing the work in the camera, every time one element is wrong, the whole shot is out.
If you're going to use the printer, you're basically going to shoot each of those elements. The foreground, the puppet animation, the background has separate pieces of film, and then put them together one at a time in the optical printer.
It was a very complex system in its infancy in King Kong, and you know, it shows in the film, and you can see where they're getting pieces of the background bleeding through the edges of their traveling mats. But you know, that doesn't really matter. I mean, none of that obviously takes away from the magic of the film.
Another trick for combining actors with animation was called rear screen projection.
You have a set where you have your actors, and you put up a big screen behind them, like a motion picture screen. And then behind it, you have a projector, and that projector projects an image onto the screen.
It's projected from the back of the screen, so the screen has to be translucent.
The effect is that whatever's on that screen is now the environment your actors are in.
They developed a new kind of screen called the Saunders screen on King Kong, and it was first used in the scenes where Fay Wray is up in the tree and King Kong and the Tyrannosaurus are fighting in the background. The animation was shot first and then projected onto a screen, and Fay Wray is in the tree reacting to it.
The advantage of rear screen projection is that your actor can physically interact with the animated puppet full large size. So they don't have to use their imagination. They don't have to go, see that ping pong ball? Well, that's a giant monster. Nope, they're looking right at it. For example, when the crew of the Venture come across the Stegosaurus, rear screen projection is used to remarkably convincing effect because of the coordination or orchestration between the actors and what was shot on the screen being projected, because what was shot on the screen being projected was the Stegosaur and the smoke bomb landing and exploding. That was already on the film. So the actors could watch that and time when they actually threw the smoke bomb. And because they were coordinated on set like that, it was like, huh, it really happened.
A lot of these techniques that he was applying in a new way